Good morning. We are definitely live here on the Howlermouth Show. It is indeed going to be a rainy Sunday show, guys. Oh man, and it is a pleasure to be here this morning. I can't believe I'm up and at it this early. Get that camera right. That's good enough so you can see the mess. All right, so let's get the camera, everything set up. I have rolled out of bed. I have made a cup of coffee. I'm on the wrong side with that hat, aren't I? And I've made a cup of coffee, and I've decided to shoot a video this morning because it has been cold as hell out here. We had an ice storm outside. We have internet, and I can't think of a better reason to get on here and talk about TV shows and who knows what else. A little bit of comic book talk. Let me move everything over here. And it is just a joy and a pleasure to be able to do this morning with you. That hat is jacked up. The old paperboy hat is all jacked up. I think it looks all right, guys. It's going to get the thing done. It's YouTube, man. There used to be a thing with hats where you used them to get attention, right? But anyway, let's get it back up here. So hopefully you guys in the States have had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And that's not going to work for me, brother. You guys have had that's much better. You guys have had a great Thanksgiving. You've had a great weekend. I got to tell you, the last couple of days for me have been a blast. I went hunting on Thanksgiving morning. I shot a deer. I processed it on Friday. A lot of work. And I think I was like on the couch by 5 o'clock. And I was flipping through comic books and stuff just to kind of relax. And then we had our actual Thanksgiving on Saturday due to the wife cooking. I went to my mother-in-law's Thursday and had a little bit of her Thanksgiving. And so, yeah, I got in the midst of all this, telling you this, I was able to jump in there and see the first 4 episodes of season 5, the series finale of Stranger Things that's going to, put a wrap on that, guys. So hopefully you were able to watch that also. So John is here. John has popped in here. So, guys, let's be like John. That is always my cue. So let's be like John. He always comes to where the wild things are, right here. And and make sure that you have subscribed. Make sure you have shared the video. Make sure you definitely give it a thumbs up. I tell you what, and you 33% of new viewers that are popping in and casually watching stuff, go ahead and subscribe, man. We have a lot of fun here. And with the winter months coming up, I want to be here a little bit more than I am throughout the year. And this is a place where we actually kind of, 99.9, maybe 98.5, maybe 97.7. I don't know. We're going to have to do the math. Percent. We actually do talk about comics that we have read, TV shows we have watched, and a memory that is like a still trap, as long as it's before 2015. Okay, so I can pull out things and stuff, right? So anyway, um, over the course of my travels for work and the mall and the holidays popping up, there's more vendors sort of popping up around the little malls around here and stuff, right? Because of Black Friday deals, holiday shopping. And I stopped by a place where I'm sort of a regular. There's a mother son team that they kind of stick together, and they do the flea markets and they set up in malls, and they have many things, a lot of collectibles, and then always they have a couple of short boxes, and I have found some, and they're $1 a piece. I've been buying off them so much, I comfortably get deals from them, 6, 7 books for $5, and things like that. So I decided to stop by, flip through there, and just kind of look at a few things. And I was like, some of these boxes I've seen before. I've been through these boxes many times. Actually, things that I thought about buying later on are still in the back of the box, untouched and everything, right? And then they had a few other boxes, and you have to kind of watch it because the way a lot of these flea market people will store things, you really need to step back and make sure, you check your comics for mustiness and any kind of smell of gas where they make, things like that. It could be in a garage, that could be in an unfinished basement, could be in a place with a lot of moisture. You just never know. You have to check take just a second to slow down, right? And we're going to go ahead and do this, guys. So the four people who have popped in here this morning, 5 minutes into the show on a Sunday morning, I appreciate it. But I want to show you something that you're going to be allowed to laugh if you have. You don't need my permission anyway. What I'm saying is that I'm going to say this kind of is for a laugh. That's what I'm trying to get at here, right? Because my hatred of Booster Gold, and yet I have a Booster Gold book. So before we reveal this book, and it's not going to surprise anyone, once you see what it is, you're going to be like, oh, that's why he got it. Yeah. Well, I already have one. And I was like, I'm not going to pass another one up for, 83 cents because I got 6 books for $5. But anyway, the reason the show is called Rainy Sunday on Sunday mornings is as a kid, as I have given you my last 3 or 4 days here from being off work, of kind of staying active and chilling out and relaxing and doing things. On those weekends as a kid, the Saturday mornings were yours. That was cartoon time, Saturday morning cartoon time. Then it was grab your bike and go outside. Or it was go to the roller skate rink in the middle of the day, things like that. You went out and you did things. But Sunday mornings, you would go outside also. And on those mornings, I would have in syndication around 9 and 9:30, Rocky and Bullwinkle, local stations at that time. Rocky and Bullwinkle, Underdog, Tennessee Tuxedo. You got an hour of the older cartoons from the early 60s, right when it felt like America was losing its innocence and stuff. We had these guys, But if it was raining and you watched those, maybe you found some wrestling. But most of the time, 9.5 times 10, we'll do some Steiner math here, 9.5 times out of 10, it was raining. You couldn't go outside. So I would get a stack of comic books, crawl on the top of the bunk bed, be about that far from the roof of the trailer that I lived in, and listen to the rain hitting that metal roof while I read comic books. So it was a great memory. And I did it many times. It's a comfort. I now have a house where a couple years ago I put I had a replaced the roof with metal, and every now and then it's quieter than you think, but every now and then I get to do that, on the couch upstairs. And here we go. John is right on it. Never fear, Underdog is here. All right, we've had some more people pop in here. So, guys, we're going to start the comic book haul. Then we're going to do a little Stranger Things talk. Hopefully you've watched it. It's not going to be spoiler free. I'm going by memory. I didn't make notes, but I have pulled up my Facebook post and I pulled up a page where I can keep all the characters straight because there's going to be a critique. I'm an old man. There's going to be a little bitching. There's going to be a little like this is good, and there's going to be a little bit of like it's just a show. It's all right. So there's a key book here, and it's a key book that nobody is looking for, but it's actually worth $500 if I had found it mint. All right. So there's something to hold on to, right? So anyway, here's my Where the Wild Things shirt is. Just wanted to let you know that was one of my favorite books as a kid. It is still one of my favorite books. I'm all right with the movie, but anytime I put this shirt on, it puts me in a drastically good mood, right? So anyway, the Booster Gold book, guys, right? If you really want to know why I hate Booster Gold, I've had one video that people consistently for 3 years asked me to make, and I didn't want to make it because I was like, don't want to be too negative, right? Ended up being a 20-minute rant of why I hate Booster Gold. So there is a video from around 2013 or 14, probably 2014, where I finally did it. It's why I hate Booster Gold. So check that out. That's all you have to put in. Howler Mouse, why I hate Booster Gold. Maybe if I remember, I can put in the link at the bottom. But I had to get this because it's a Killing Joke tie-in, right? So Booster Gold by Jeff Johns, it's not a bad series, all right? Even though I absolutely hate Booster Gold, I could step back and critique, you know what I mean? I loathe the character, but I like I think it was like 12 issues that Booster Gold, that 12, 13 issues that Jeff Johns did. He tied in a 0 issue. He tied in a 1 million issue. And then everything in between, maybe 1 through 10, I think. So it's technically 12 issues, if I remember right. And this is directly after 52. Now, during the DC 52, which was a weekly series almost 20 years ago, that's blowing my mind because I remember it like yesterday. My friends, who I still have most of them on Facebook, I have all three of them on Facebook. They were in a store, a local store called G2K Games, and think GameStop, but nicer people. You know what I'm saying? All right. 3 or 4 stores in the area. You could bring in games, trade them in. They had all kinds of gaming things, supplies and things, but they also had a section of comics and they would order comics for you. And I remember walking in and everybody was just sort of Jay and Matt and maybe Brendan was there also. But they all three were sort of looking and they were preparing themselves because, I was in my 30s then. And I walked in and they were sort of like real quiet. And I'm like, what's wrong, guys? What's up? You would have thought someone died or you knew they were about to give me some horrible news and they didn't know if I was going to jump across the counter. That's what it felt like. And they were like, have you read the new 52? And I was like, no. They said, well, prepare yourself. And I read it, and I think they insinuated that one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite sci-fi characters, uh, was Booster Gold's dad. And I was just like, those sons of bitches. Okay, I'm like, Booster Gold has always infiltrated everything I love in comics, and I'm like, is somebody trolling me? Are they doing this on purpose? They're not. He jumped in on just when he came in my Keith Giffen DeMantis Justice League when I was a kid. I actually threw when he popped up on the last page of I think number 3. I threw the book across the room. Maybe I always feel like it's number 4 because he's on the cover, but it's probably number 3. And it was the only time my brother said I ever scared him because I threw a comic. So now he's in the Killing Joke in this. But the whole plot of this is that the reasoning is so much better. The Legion of Superheroes popped up in it. He's popped up with Commandy. So I'm trying to tell you, everything Booster Gold I love in comics, they stick Booster Gold in somehow. Blows my mind. But anyway, with this book, if I remember right, the plot here is that he's wanting to bring Ted Kord back. Ted Kord, Blue Beetle, died. That's another thing. I absolutely love the Steve Ditko Blue Beetle when the stepdad had a few of those modern comics reprints of them, from the Charlton years. But anyway, and I was excited when he popped up in Crisis on Infinite Earths #1. I'm like, this is not happening, But anyway, they turned him into the Blue and Gold team, and they were super popular apparently, right? Except for me, right? So anyway, he's playing around, as Rip Hunter, guys. Sorry, I didn't say the name of the character. Rip Hunter ended up being. They were insinuating that it was his. Well, he called him son, and when he couldn't hear him in earshot. So Booster Gold, needlessly tried to tie him into Rip Hunter. I hope that's been retconned. But anyway, the whole plot of this is that he's learning that you can't change things in time. Okay, you can't really bring people back. So it's sort of an experiment to try to change history where the Joker never shot Barbara Gordon because he wants to eventually bring Ted Kord back, who had been killed by Maxwell Lord, if I remember right. Guys, and if I'm remembering wrong, just go ahead and put it in the comments and stuff. I'm not really that, I don't know, how can I say, dedicated to my Booster Gold lore there, right? Shane Matlock, how are you doing, buddy? The Giffen and DeMantis issues, the Giffen and DeMantis issues of that Booster Gold series I enjoyed more than the Jeff John ones, mostly because they brought back Ted Kord, who DC had killed so poorly by screwing up Max Lord. Just the fact that you're telling me Giffen is on it makes me want to check it out. Trying to think, was that during I'm not gonna get into that, man, but I think I remember Dan Jurgens was on, so somewhere along the line Giffen and DeMantis came on the series. I'll definitely check that out. I remember a lot of Black Beetle stuff going on, and I do remember seeing around Blackest Night they had Blue Beetle come back or something. I have some memories, but I really dedicated myself to it. So, guys, this was interesting before I really get into this. And I actually forgot I bought something here. I have an Ollie's haul, a little bit of an Ollie's book here. I grabbed because there were so few left, right? But this is not a previews, okay? This, I had to do a little research. Diamond Comic Distribution Incorporated presents 1991-92 editorial presentation of DC Comics and Piranha Press. And yes, those are the Archie heroes of the Impact comic book line. That was indeed funny. Did have a guy named Lynn. I'm not going to pronounce his name wrong today, but his name was Lynn, and Mark Waid. I kind of remember those being the guys that totally ran this line of comics. They were licensed out to DC and they did Impact Comics. But all I could tell is that this is sort of like put together for a presentation. They did end up using this cover for previews, from what I understand. But with the quick research that I did, this is very cool because what they did is they sent this out to retailers, and the front and back of every page is used to sit here and tell the retailers the books that DC is coming out. Here's Batman, Judge Dredd, Holy Terror. A lot of people don't realize that the Batman, Judge Dredd books were what it was a trilogy. Okay, but you go through here, and this is a great time capsule, man. This has Sandman in it. Every DC book that was coming out, they kind of give you a little synopsis of what's going on in the book, who the creative team is, who does the art, the marketing. They give you the idea behind their marketing. So if you are into comic book history and the business side of it, Legion 91, I tell people the first, I don't know, 26, 27 issues of this was solid in my opinion. And then they kept it interesting enough through all 70 issues to where I enjoyed it. Legion of Superheroes, they're all alphabetical. Even starting out their Legion archives, Legend of Shield. But you go through this thing and it's just so much fun. Even had all their licensing products, such as Star Trek. So yeah, everything that was going to be coming out, little known books like Black Condor, some great Rags Morales art. Yeah, I had this. This is really cool. They're one shots, Enemy Ace, War Idol. So yeah, anything that was kind of coming out in 91, 92, and the characters, it's all in here. And this was great. I mean, I flipped through this like this was a joy. I got this for $1. I had to try to look up what it was. I never heard of these, but once I knew it was sort of a presentation, I immediately somehow pictured like a conference room with people around it and somebody with a pointer stick and having a person that is sort of like oh god, what was that character's name in Lebowski? Somebody having sort of like a manservant there, turning the pages and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's where my mind went on that. That was very cool to find. Okay. Oh, Afro's here. Good morning. Hey, Shane Matlock. It was indeed a time. Yeah, yeah. He's going back to the. I keep forgetting you guys can't really see the comments on the rewind here, but yeah, it was a time travel story. Shane Matlock is right on it on that. Hey, good. We have Afro is here. Good morning, Hallermouse. I love Booster Gold. I enjoyed him as a sheriff in the 19th century and All-Star Western and the Jonah Hex stories. I remember him. Yeah, I remember hearing that news. Oh, that's great. Yeah, if you love Booster Gold, man, it's just, peace. You know what I mean? It's cool, but oh man, he runs all over me. Shane Matlock, overall, that run was much better than the Jurgens one from the 80s. I do agree Booster Gold was kind of a despicable hero, but I loved him. I loved him teamed up with Blue Beetle. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I totally get that people liked it, Let's see. Shane Matlock again. There are two thick trades of that Johns and Giffen run of Booster Gold that DC released in the last 2 years. It's way better than the character deserved. Yeah, yeah. I have the Jeff Johns Booster Gold stuff, right? I do indeed have it because one of the things about me that I'm very happy with, and I don't want to sit here and like constantly talk about me, is that I really do try to. It's kind of like I will give you a chance and I will check out things. I will check in to see if there's been character development stuff. I'll give it a try. I try not to critique if I have not read it. And they have yet to do anything with Booster Gold that turned me around. You know what I mean? And sometimes they'll take certain books and certain characters to a certain point where they get better. Then somebody decides to come in and just cut the legs off. And I was like, oh, no, let's take them back. You know what I mean? But the problem is if you're a creator and you just sort of do one shitty project after another, I'll be done with you. I'm done. You know what I mean? You're hitting my pocket, and I'm not gonna let you do that. You know what I mean? I'm giving you chance after chance. And there's two writers specifically that I'm like that. It's not personal. You know what I mean? Like I don't wish ill will on them. It's just I'm just I'm kind of sick of them getting to write crappy comics. I mean, so I'll just ignore them. Okay, guys. So this was fun. Before we get into the 2, 3 other things here, right? I am currently and loving a documentary that I have found on Amazon Prime. If you have it, I also grew up on this book. As a matter of fact, hopefully, I just saw it yesterday. Oh, here we go. Okay, so hopefully I didn't just lose you there, but I actually have one thing, and you're going to know exactly what this is. And some of you are going to yell, I had those in my house. I still have those as kids. I have 1 or 2 framed that I keep meaning to pull up and stuff. And I will say that I think the peak was the 70s, okay, with this magazine, but Mad Magazine. And right now on Amazon Prime, I'm halfway through the documentary on Mad Magazine, which is fantastic. It started out with a brief history of comics. And from the 30s up, a little bit of what educational comics leading to EC comics and all involved, and to the magazine. And it has the creators on it, and it has directors and TV stars and movie stars popping in there who are like, when you see them, you're like, of course they read Mad, right? But this is the only one that has survived out of my collection of Mad Magazine, The Stepdad. And the stepdad had tons of them from the 70s as they were coming out. This was pretty much Savage Sword of Conan in Mad Magazine in the house. This is from 1984, Alfred E. Newman. In the documentary, they've just explained where the Alfred E. Newman character came from, the sort of history and who drew him and where he came from, right? So I have the Mad Archives over here. Started out more of Wally Wood and Jack Davis and everyone writing on it. And then the documentary explained how it became Mad Magazine, where they went after everybody, became more about social commentary and entertainment, and how even the great movies, the movies suck. And speaking of movies, I always felt that J. Scott Campbell of the 90s was a Mort Drucker fan. By the time he got to Image, I started seeing some what I thought was Mort Drucker. So what I have here to go with the Mad collection over here, Mad spoofs the movie classics. So this was a $15 magazine that blows my mind that magazines are now $15 if you really want a good one, that I got for $1 that came out. It just reprints some of their more popular, well, the movies were popular, movies. It's the spoofs, a reprint of the spoofs. Jaws, The Exorcist, Scarface, Home Alone, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Grease, MASH, and they have one in here of 300 that they call Boo, the 300. That's why I've never read the 300, right? Here we go, and more. So here's they are on the back. And I'm telling you, man, I really sometimes want to just go ahead and do this. I remember this stuff I absolutely love, but it's not all Mort Drucker. But I actually saw Grease at the drive-in. All right, John Travolta fan. I remember reading this. We had this issue in the house, right? So what just amazes me is how accurate they are, right? And they take the piss out of everybody. Now, the reason I say that I prefer the 70s Mad I'll read Mad, not the current Mad, but I will read Mad Magazine. You know what I mean? I can't remember if I rebought this or if this was mine. I also had one where the Michael Keaton Batman came out. Superman 3, I had the one where he's got he's in the Superman suit. He has his feet up on a table, and you can see the rest of them because he's reading the paper, the covers. Anyway, they're going all back to me, man. But Mad, Cracked, I loved all these spoofy magazines. But the ones in the 70s, it seems like they really were more even in who they went after. It didn't matter if it was right or left. It was dumb was dumb. The 20 dumbest people, events, and things of 1999. So yeah, I'm one of those people that grew up on Mad, and it actually, now that I'm older, I can look back on it, and that's probably why I'm like dead center on a lot of things, to where like I may veer on this side of something, or I may veer on that side of something, but I'm always going to kind of look around and It's probably, I'm probably going, I will say this is bullshit. This is stupid. You know what I mean? If I'm on the side that's doing something stupid, I don't know if this is making any sense to y'all. It's also one of the reasons I feel like I really am able to not take myself too serious, just having that sort of stuff to read and stuff, right? All right, all of the new Ghost Machine stuff by Jeff Johns is probably my favorite modern comics. Redcoat and Geiger and Junkyard Joe are also good. Yeah, I've checked them out. I have a first appearance of Redcoat. I have some Geiger stuff behind me here. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's different. It's different than Jeff Johns. Okay. I don't know. I didn't know there was a Mad documentary. Very cool. My aunt had a ton of the old Mad magazines. I also loved Crazy because of all the Marvel stuff in it, but loved Mad and Crack too. Yeah, I have an issue or two of Crazy. There was an issue of Crazy that I could not remember what the magazine was, and thank goodness I think it was Paulo Costa who found it, and I was able to buy a beat it copy of it. But they did a spoof of the Dark Phoenix saga. They took the actual John Byrne art, Terry Austin art, and they added all new dialogue to it. And I remember that as a kid, like I read that over and over and over. You could not get away from the Dark Phoenix. That was also around the time that I had a friend named John. I've told the story, and 10 years ago, I did a video where I showed everybody I went out into the world. I visited my hometown, and I showed the trailer park, and I think I might have shown the trailer. I drove to John's house. It's an abandoned house, but I was like 7. John was about 15 or 16. So I would walk from the trailer park through this patch of woods and come out like in a suburban neighborhood, of 1980 or whatever, right? 80, 81, whatever it was. And John would be in his little driveway and we would talk, and this is when you're a kid, having an older kid talk to you was cool. You know what I mean? You did have that little bit of like, whoa, I'm hanging out. And I'd read the Silver Age X-Men, specifically number 3 from the Stepdad's collection. He was all about John Byrne, the Dark Phoenix, Neil Adams, that kind of stuff, right? And he told me all about the Dark Phoenix saga, so you couldn't get away from it. He even gave me a picture he drew that was Neil Adams worthy on a piece of green cheap art paper that you probably got from school of Cyclops, all on top of rubble, and the motion in his face, like he was pained and everything, and shooting his beam there. So it was a good time. It was a good time, right? So of course, to see the Dark Phoenix in this Crazy magazine was something. It's how memory works, guys. You got to have a story to it sometimes, a little bit of emotion. But the documentary of Matt is very cool. I'm probably going to finish it. I had other things going on, like I said. I saw Grease at the drive-in too, says Shane. Yeah, I was 5 or 6 in the drive-in here in the town that I'm living in now. That blows my mind. When Grease came out, they actually had like the swings and the playground, the seesaws, like right in front of the drive-in theater. And I went out to the swings, and right when I got on the swing is when John Travolta ended up singing "Stranded at the Drive-In," branded a fool. What will they say? Monday at school, Sandy. I'm on the swing set when John Travolta's on the swing set. When you're 5, that's cool. You know what I mean? It feels cool. It's, a very cool mag. I'm not sure versus the X-Men. Very cool, right? All right. So, you know what? Maybe we'll just have to do a Mad Magazine show one day. But the 70s one, it seems like the social commentary was a lot more cutting edge. I have an issue. I think it's the Planet of the Apes spoof that's in it, where they take on the N word. They take on the N word in the book. And I'm like, that's bold for, 1972 or whatever it was. So yeah, I totally get how that comic may have scared some parents. And now all the people who read Mad has grown up and they're like, I wish we had Mad the way it was. All right, man. So this one I have, right? Now, here's what's so wild. There's a couple of comics I've never been able to get rid of, right? I gave them a chance. I may have found them at a dollar bin, complete, like a mini series. These are mini series and stuff. And the one I'm specifically talking about is Paul Jenkins' Sidekick. I probably actually bought that one issue by issue and probably dipped out and found the rest of them, for in a dollar box or something. And then I found Salvation Run from 2008, right? And I could not give those away. In the midst of this is also when I could not give away Alias, the complete run. I bought Alias from the start to the end, brand new, of Alias, which, it turned into be a huge thing thanks to a TV show on Netflix, right? Of Alias, I stuck through it. I tried out Bendis. I liked it. It started out all right. He does great crime comics and anything kind of attached with crime. He just needs to stay away from superheroes. And I feel like that Alias book shows you that perfectly, right? But anyway, and then couldn't give that away. All right. So believe it or not, there was a time where Alias was right up there with the Salvation Run. Everybody was like, what is this? Some people wanted to read it, some didn't. But the whole concept of this is that, if I remember correctly, all the heroes at the time decided to take all the villains and put them on a prison planet somewhere far, far away. And this is their saga of Salvation Run. All right. So they're all here. All the DC villains have just been dropped off on this prison planet. It has been so long since I read this. I don't think I finished it. I'm not saying it's horrible, but it just felt like meaningless because in the comics at the time they were still in the comics. I'm like, where's this going? So I don't know where this went. I don't know what the point was. And then all of a sudden, two things happen. I have that Sidekick book by Paul Jenkins. I don't know, about a month or two before this, I found out that number one has popped. Same thing with Salvation Run. Apparently, in the Peacemaker TV show, which I have not watched, we do not have the HBO Max here. We have several streaming services, but we do not have the HBO Max right now. I had HBO Max from the time they debuted for the horrible Watchmen TV show I was excited about, all the way up to about 9 months ago. We just took a break, right? So I haven't seen Peacemaker season 2, but apparently something happened to where Salvation Run, people are speculating that a bunch of villains are on the planet introduced in this very issue. So when I saw a number one and I'm getting a deal of six of these books for $5, I'm like, just get it. It's bagged. It looks fine. I've already read the book. I already have all 7. So I don't know. Maybe if I get some time, I'll finish reading that, right? Maybe it's aged much better than I remember. But like I said, it just felt kind of it was like the Aquaman 2 movie. Probably a pretty good movie, but once they come out and tell you that it doesn't matter, you don't want to waste your time. At my age, I just have no time for mediocrity. You know what I mean? Oh, Shane is all over this. I started reading X-Men during the Paul Smith Brood run. Yeah, but a girl brought her brother's Byrne X-Men issues to school, and that's how I read those. I was already a Byrne fan. I've been wanting to revisit John Byrne's. I got 3 or 4 short boxes over here. I've been rebagging and going through my collection. I really want to revisit the OMAC series he did. John Byrne has said that was his favorite thing he's done. I think it's an interview somewhere on YouTube, some sci-fi something or other, right? Anyway. But yeah, I really enjoyed that when it came out. But yeah, I've been a Byrne fan for 40 years or more, definitely more. Probably, I don't remember not reading Byrne because of the Marvel 2-in-1s and stuff, right? But yeah, Byrne's always kind of been there and stuff, right? Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I know exactly where I've been a Byrne fan. John Byrne with the Yesterday Quest, Wundagore Mountain Avengers issues. Okay, yeah, I read those as a kid, and his art absolutely blew me away in those. So yeah, a lot of people found him through X-Men at the time. I found him in Avengers. Yeah. Okay, even though Byrne is one of my favorite artists, Paul Smith is my favorite X-Men artist just because he was my first. It was the issue where Storm's becoming Brood on the cover, 165, I think. Yeah, I've got the Epic collection of those, and I have a whole bunch of beat up issues. Yeah, I enjoyed Salvation Run. Okay, that's probably a key now. I'll check out Salvation Run. I will definitely sit down and commit to read it all the way through. Peacemaker was good. My first Byrne was Marvel Team Up, the Thor one. I kind of know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Now, these books here, guys, one of the things that I tell people when it comes to having a comic book collection, if you're really wanting to try things new, or, there's nothing wrong. Like, I love sci-fi stuff, right? But man, I also love my Sherlock Holmes and Murder, She Wrote and my Dateline and crime stuff, you know what I mean? And mysteries and things like that. I also have a thing for like my thrillers, you know what I mean? We get in moods for different things sometimes, right? And, we get caught up in a lot of people don't, but sometimes we get caught in like, maybe we worry a little bit what people will think and stuff like that. You grow out of that. Don't worry, right? Sometimes I'm in the mood for Fantastic Four. You know what? And then sometimes I'm in the mood for something a little bit lighter, right? Like some Archie from 1965. So for 88 cents, I have The Life with Archie, number 33, 1965, in decent condition. I think there might be a page or two popped out, but I am going to end up repairing this, right? And I love my Tarzan, my Joe Kubert Tarzan and stuff like that. My Filmation Tarzan, my Tarzan movies from the 30s and 40s, and stuff like that. I grew up with Tarzan, you know what I mean? So it's kind of funny to find out that there was some story going on here where it's me, Tarpan, and you, Jane. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of good stuff that goes on in these, right? Binky, I'm a big fan of my Binky books. Scooter, swinging with Scooter. Sometimes I'm just in the mood for these 60s and 70s era. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, all we really have is something that's popped out of the staples here, and I think I could fix this. Yeah, that was it. And it's not a big deal. What's really killing me is that I think just I think just a touch of maybe some rubber glue or something. What's it called? Rubber cement. Just maybe a touch to fill in the gap on that page. Uh, or maybe not, now that I've thought that through. But anyway, I wanted to repairing that little section in there just to get that in there. But yeah, Life with Archie. I'm finding out I'm really liking the retro stuff. Now, for you guys that are into comic books and you don't stay online, okay, there's a little thing going on around here and from other places. And this is not an online thing. The hobby of comics does not stop and start online on YouTube and Instagram and eBay and things like that. But there is a thing where the kids, I've heard the kids of today. I have a daughter who I sent some Archie comics to and have a talk, but there is a little niche group out there, at least about a year ago and stuff, where they were actually wanting the Archie comics of the 80s, right? So I'm not saying that there's a market out there, but I'm just saying some of the kids today who are playing around with comics are actually were there for a while wanting the Archie comics from the 80s. I kind of looked it up. I'm like, oh man, it's probably just this town she's in or something like that, right? No, I got on eBay and stuff, and that stuff was hard to find. I was like, oh my God. So I don't know what it is, but there was a little niche market there for Archie comics specifically from the 80s. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. Now here's the key book. I did not know this was the key book. And yes, this is a key book, even though that it is not in demand. And I looked it up, just because when I was cataloging my comics here, I looked it up. I was sort of like, I didn't know this was a number one, and this is from 1964. You just don't think about these things, right? And when I looked it up, a mint copy is $500, right? My copy, if I want to go through the grading and stuff, uh, I'm comfortable saying maybe $100. We'll leave it at that. This is also not the first key Archie book I found. If you guys have watched me for a while and have me on Instagram and stuff, I found the Archie comic they just recently made a facsimile edition of, where he's carrying, is it Betty? He's carrying Betty out of the ocean, I guess. They're at the beach, and there's three guys that are all beat up and have black eyes in the water, and they're seeing stars. Archie is holding her. She was like, Archie, was it hard saving me from this guy, get me out of there? He's like, yeah, I had to beat off three guys. I found that for something like $2.38 after I bought a lot of comics, a comic book lot, if you will, at a antique shop. But anyway, I'm sitting here hyping this up, man. It's a 12-cent copy with a little bit of chipping of Archie and Me number one from 1964, guys. A number one issue of Archie and Me, $500. Does anybody know the people that are really seeking out these collections and older issues of Archie where they're shelling out that much money? The Archies I like are Pure Heart, Captain Hero. You know what I mean? I like it when Archie and them do their thing. The man from Riverdale. You know what I mean? I if I ran across those, I would think real hard about getting those and stuff, right? So let me make it clear: the Archie love is strong in the house. Okay, these teen books, I still watch, even though I wasn't there when that came out, but I still watch the Many Loves of W. Gillis, guys. You know what I mean? Like, I really dig some of the stuff from the era. But as I was saying about your collection, a rich collection of comics, the kind of book in this has variety in it. You know what I mean? And you have a lot of interest and stuff, right? You also, guys, don't if you're a reader, don't just read comic books. You know, read Philip Jose Farmer and anything else, just read anything and stuff like that. But I get in the mood for some Archie, my friends, and this is going to be sweet. This is the era, you know what I mean? So I like my 60s and 70s Archie and Archie wannabe books, man. I don't know what's going on, you know what I mean? I'm a child of the 80s. You figure I'd want things like Stranger Things, right? So that was going to be my segue. I don't script these things, because this is where the wild things are. I don't script anything, but every now and then I might get a note or two, or I might reference something just to keep it straight for the show. But I completely forgot I had this, right? But I don't know if you've been to your local Ollie's outlet. If you have one, I've been going less and less because the glory days back in like 2018. Thank goodness I document this stuff online. But around 2018, Ollie's, you would walk into Ollie's and they would have a speaker on, and they would actually announce that they had bought something like $13 million of warehouse comics and trades. I don't know if it was from a distributor or directly from DC Comics and stuff like that, but they bought $13 million worth of warehouse stock, and you had trades of Mad Archives, Starman, Omnibuy, everything, just everything for years. You would go in Marvel Masterworks, DC Archives, and things like that. And that's where a lot of this came from. These omnibus up here, all of these are from Ollie's. They were nothing back then. They were 75% to 90% off. No joke. Trying to see what I have here. Yeah, these Omnibuy, that's where they came from. My Starman Omnibuy over here, that's where they came from. These DC Archive that you see right here, that's where they came from. And that's what I mean. I could go down the line. A lot of these trades, yeah, I didn't really have the trade thing explode on my shelves for a while. I had what I liked. I had this shelf over here full, but this stuff, yeah, these accumulated from what I already had, and from sales and stuff like that. All these trades here, Ollie's, you know what I mean? That's almost a complete set of Suicide Squad and some Wonder Woman stuff, everything like that. The Vertigo stuff, I think yeah, this X-Men right here, Days of Future Past, is that what that is? Yeah, that's Ollie's. I mean, I can go on and on and on, right? But now Ollie's has announced that they are going to be competitive, right? Now their Omnibuys, if you find them, $125 Omnibuys, almost $40. But I just had it the other day. Anyway, but I had a Fantastic Four Marvel Archives that I was able to get. But that was almost $20. That's why I got one. I was like, I might as well do it. Well, they have the X-Men Marvel Masterwork for $17, guys. They also had Amazing Spider-Man Marvel Masterwork Volume 2. There was number one left. I should have gotten it, but I didn't. But yeah, I decided to get this. There was only like one or two of these left. And I'm like, if I don't get it now, I'm going to be driving down the road, 20 minutes down the road. I'm going to be like, I wished I'd gotten that. So yeah, I went ahead and got this, right? And I actually really want to get all the Ditko Spider-Man stuff in better format than I have around the house. I still have I wonder if I brought it down. See, let me look around here. It's probably upstairs. Nope. I still have the newsprint ones that they actually put in Sunday Funnies about over 20 years ago, right? I'll show those later. I'm not going to explain those, right? So yeah, that was really kind of cool. This is the first 10 issues of the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby stuff. They also had an omnibus of the Don Heck, Roy Thomas, Neil Adams years, and I decided not to get that. Just wasn't really in the mood for an omnibus that I'm probably just going to read like a section of. Yeah. So anyway, these are high quality paper. They're very cool. And they're exactly what they are. They're Marvel Masterwork Archive editions and stuff, just for those classics of yesteryear and stuff, right? So, and then I have these laying over here. So if you're new to the show, I'm going to show you what I got a few weeks ago at a local show here. I got great deals on all. Invaders number 5, $2 for Beowulf Dragon Slayer number 1 from before I was born, the early 70s. A book I never thought I would have. the Squadron Sinister. Whoa, the Squadron Sinister versus Squadron the Defenders. If you squint real hard, that's the Justice League. An Eclipse Grew special one shot that I never knew existed from the 80s. I still have yet to read that. And then the Sentimental comic book. This was from the Stepdad's collection. And I ended up selling it around 2010 and 11 with a bunch of other Silver Age books. And for some reason, this was the one with Jim Wilson and stuff in it that I wished I had not sold. And I did pay a little bit more than old Howler Mouse does pay around here to get this, and it wasn't horrible. It was $20. I'll just go ahead and tell everybody. A great copy down. I talked him down, because I bought a few other things from him. So yeah, I ended up getting this Hulk 104. And it's not the one from the Stepdad's collection, but it is something that's going to make me feel like how can I say this? I corrected a mistake. We'll put it that way, right? Yeah, a little sentimental on this stuff, right? You know what I mean? But I have no idea why, when I think of the Stepdad's collection, I think of this book. I don't know. I don't have a story with it, man. It was just in the stack. Apparently, this was the one I like. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was a huge Hulk fan as a kid, and still am. I didn't even know I was a Hulk fan until I had a bunch of my Hulk books stolen back in 2010, and I'm like, no, I'm like, okay, guys, so let's look at some comments and we'll do some Stranger Things here. All right. Isn't that great, man? Mad Magazine and Archie Comics, man. That's just awesome. Hey, the Sumerian's here. Good morning, sir. Shane, OMAC is really good. I think they use some repurposed Shazam art. I don't know, the OMAC Prestige format book. I know he used. Hold on, guys. I got an ad popping up. I think at the time he had a 2112 one shot come out at Dark Horse that was tied into his Next Men stuff. And I remember people saying that he repurposed a page or two with OMAC in 2112 because it felt like they came out around the same time. So, that was in the realm of possibility. I'm not saying he didn't repurpose Shazam art, but I don't know. I never heard that before. My aunt that had Mad Magazine also had a ton of Archie comics. Yeah, I never realized that they feel like they're from an era there till we're talking here. Primod is here. Is that it? What did you look forward to most when you picked up Mad? I like the Don Martin strips. Don Martin. Yeah, Don Martin. I would go through, and that was probably the first thing that I saw. Is it Al Jaffee? JFEE? His stuff. Spy versus Spy, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of, and I also like the unpredictability of knowing, not knowing what they're going to have in there this month. The lighter side of, I was a little bit, I don't know if you remember those, the lighter side of strips where it was like Suburbs, The Family, or whatever it was. Sometimes I didn't quite get those, but I was not of that social class, if you will. You know what I mean? I don't know. We just didn't have those problems. I think it's because I'd already had a handle on people. I was a people watcher and stuff. Even as a kid, I felt like I could sort of read people or get a vibe from them, even if I didn't have the words. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's a whole other thing. Hey, Paulo's here. I just mentioned you. I hope your ears are burning, man. Pop Comics on YouTube shells out huge money for Archies. Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen that channel. My favorite horror comic, Pop Comics. I'm trying to make a mental note. These comments will disappear after we're done here. My favorite humor comic is Gru. Sergio had a lot of work, Matt as well. A couple years ago, Sergio and Mark Evanier were announced to be at Heroes Con in Charlotte. And I was all pumped to go. I was going to do it. I was going to go. And then all of a sudden they put out on social media that the problems with the planes out on the West Coast or something, they weren't coming, right? So I went to bed. I get up the next morning, and all of a sudden Shelton Drum had fixed everything overnight. He had been doing cons. All I could figure out is that he had been doing cons since the early 80s, and he had connections. and he got them out there overnight. They were able to show up. Maybe it was a Thursday night or something. And I could kick myself. You know, I was like, oh, it was too late for me to go. You know, it's a 3 hour drive and this and that. And, you know, sometimes I wonder, like, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. Maybe I should have went. And this is just a couple years ago, man. So yeah, I should have met him. I have all the Disco issues in Epic Collections. I've never read those despite being a comic fan for 50 years. The Epic Collections were my first exposure to a lot of Silver Age books. I still have the first Spider-Man book that I recall reading. I think it's in the 70s from the Stepdad's collection. I mean, the first one I kind of remember reading is a Steve Ditko pocket book where they took the story of the Hulk and Spider-Man where they met in the cave. Possibly, I wonder if that's the same cave as the Fantastic Four off the top of my head. Anyway, I remember reading that, not the actual comic, but like this little pocketbook edition where they took the actual comic and put a couple panels on each page. It looked like a, looked like a little, it actually fit in your book. But it's Spider-Man is crawling in Captain Stacy's window, talking to him. I think Mean Mountain Marco or somebody might be in it. I don't know. It's on top of my head here. But I have the comic still. There's no cover. The first page is missing. But I saved that from the Stepdad's collection over the years. Now, okay, guys. Are you guys in the mood for it? It's been an hour now. Let's get this going here. I've had a blast here. I got things to do. But guys, I want to change do you guys want to talk about Stranger Things season 5, or you like that in a separate show? I've talked about these. I didn't know I was going to talk about 7 comics for an hour, guys. You know what I mean? But maybe I can do a separate show on that. But you guys want to stick around and talk about Stranger Things season 5? I might do it that way. Well, we got to have all the Shane. Shane, you better be subscribed, man. You're sharing a lot, which is cool, man. So you need to be subscribed. If you're this much into comic books, I'm kind of expecting to be a regular now, right there with John and Afro SF and everybody on here. Yep, Copper is probably your favorite era. 80s and comics were incredible. Yeah, man. All right. Well, guys, I tell you what, I want to do a Stranger Things show separate. I don't know today, don't know maybe this evening, but we'll leave it here, man. I'm going to just kind of cut this off with the comic books. I had a blast. Thanks for everybody that popped in here and stuff. But make sure that you have subscribed. Make sure you've hit the thumbs up. And I'm going to try to maybe get back on a schedule. Traditionally, Howlermouth's videos back in the day, I've been here for 15 years, came out on Sunday mornings once a week. And then it was just whenever when we were doing live shows and, oh God, I did some of the first live shows here where, you just used your voice. It was an actual podcast, and then Google Hangouts, the early days. What was before Zoom? Way before Zoom, there was something else and stuff, right? But I've seen this format expand and everything like that, and that's where things went whack. But yeah, guys, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell. I'm going to do a separate. I'll probably do a separate Stranger Things show, man. I had a blast. Thanks for popping in, man. Oh, thanks, Shane. You are indeed subscribed. I appreciate it. You watch the streams. Appreciate it, man. I'm glad you started commenting. I'm reading comics. Okay, let me get through this here. I started reading comics in 74, so Bronze Age was my era. Awesome. Oh, you have been watching for a while. You watch the streams. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. All right, guys. You guys have a great morning. Have a great day. Subscribe, thumbs up, share it, hit the bell. We'll do this in the future. If you're watching this in the future after the live stream, definitely leave some comments, suggestions, whatever you want there, ideas for shows, things, questions, and we'll get them covered. Maybe another show later today, guys. All right. So make sure you've hit that bell. All right. Later. Be excellent to each other. Read your comics.